Fletcher Cox made headlines last week when he proclaimed that the Philadelphia Eagles had the best front seven in the NFL. Is he right? No. But are they the most overlooked? Yes. Mike Owens is here. I'm Adrian Fedke. Let's get right into it. Why is this front seven overlooked?
Well, a few names to start out with would be guys like Cedric Thornton and Brandon Graham. Cedric Thornton is a guy that all Eagles fans know about, but outside of Philadelphia, not many people really recognize his name. But he's turned into a huge run stuffer for the Eagles, and obviously Brandon Graham is trying to make a big leap this year into the starting role. A chance that he really hasn't had over his first few years here. So I think that those two guys are really why they're underrated.
Yeah, I think there's a bunch of different factors, and that's one of them. We as the Bitter Birds, we call Cedric, Cedric the non-entertainer Thornton because he doesn't do anything, highlight worthy. He just stuffs the run, and he might be the most underrated player in the NFL, period. And then you got Benny Logan. Like, nobody knows who Benny Logan is outside of Philadelphia. Brandon Graham's another guy. Watch out for him this year. So all these, underrated players, under the radar guys that the Eagles have, and then you pair them up with, Fletcher Cox. He's a stud. You got Kiko Alonso now. So as long as he can bounce back from the injury, he's a stud as well. You got Connor Barwin too. So, jack of all trades with him.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And uh, the main acquisition there was adding Alonso in the offseason, with that trade with the Bills and McCoy. I think that having three inside linebackers is actually going to be key for the Eagles because, they had a bunch of injuries at that spot last year. So if they can keep all three of those guys healthy, then, that'll really add to their front seven.
Yeah, and as I stated, there's a couple different factors as to why the Eagles' front seven is overlooked, and I think the other one is the offense. The offense skews the stats. I got some for you here. The Eagles were 28th in the NFL, allowing 375.6 yards per game, but they were seventh in yards per drive, 29.3. And when you look at rushing stats, 110.7 rushing yards allowed per game, 15th in the NFL, but fifth in yards per carry at 3.7. So, with the offense, obviously fast-paced tempo, the Eagles are always on the field. The time of possession, I mean, they're always on there for 35 minutes a game. And the other thing to factor in as well is, a normal game has about 12 possessions per team. But when the Eagles play, it's like 14 to 16 possessions per game because obviously, there's more drives when the Eagles are playing. They try to get as many plays in as possible in the fewest amount of time. Obviously, fast-paced tempo, getting a snap off every 24 seconds. So more plays equal more yards, and this is why the stats aren't in the Eagles' favor.
I think you've been drinking some smoothies there today. You all this brain power. What is that? That's not a Fletcher Cox smoothie, is it?
I'm just really, really smart. It was a really, really smart smoothie.
Well, if there is ever a guy to make this proclamation that the Eagles have the best front seven, I mean Fletcher Cox is the guy to do it because he's really creating a reputation in the NFL, a great reputation. He's really come on, especially this past season. He really had a breakout year, just dominating performances, especially that Thanksgiving game in Dallas against the Cowboys. He really shined. He really took over the game going against the Cowboys, who have one of the best offensive lines in the league. So if anyone was going to make these comments, Fletcher Cox was the guy to do it.
And it's fitting that a guy who I consider an elite defensive tackle didn't make the Pro Bowl, which is just preposterous. I mean, this guy was unbelievable last year. I mean, you could clearly, you can make an argument. He's one of the top 3 defensive tackles in the league. You got Gerald, well, 3, 4 defensive ends in the league. Because you got J.J. Watt, obviously he's number 1. But after that, you could make the case for Fletcher Cox, definitely.
Yeah, no, you really can. And like you were saying about the Pro Bowl, I mean, obviously, that thing is a joke that he didn't make the Pro Bowl. He definitely should be in there. But yeah, Cox is a beast, and the crazy part is that people were actually okay with him being in that reported trade for Mariota when the draft was going on. If the Eagles would have lost Fletcher Cox, I'll tell you what, the Eagles, the front 7, would have dropped down this ranking list considerably.
Yeah, a lot of people were okay with it, and some other people that were a little bit more knowledgeable, their thing was, all right, well, defensive lines, they don't win Super Bowls. But I don't know. I'd say the New York Giants in 2007, their defensive line was the reason why they won the Super Bowl. They did so again a couple years later. I mean, I'd say that that's a false thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, what you're seeing right now with the Eagles, obviously, they figured out that, their defense was a big need in the offseason because they have the offense. Chip Kelly, he's shown that really whoever he has on the offense side of the ball, he can get it done. But he realized that, in this league, you got to have a good defense. And he's really starting to, build up this front 7. We were going down the list of Eagles players that are along this front 7. And, really it's kind of a split half and half as far as the starters go with guys that were, Andy Reid guys and guys who Chip Kelly has brought in here.
Yeah, yeah. And, to kind of move along a little bit, well, they were tied for second in sacks. I think we can understand that. They get pressure on the quarterback. But another reason why they were overlooked is the secondary was so bad that also skewed the stats as well. Because, whenever they couldn't get to the quarterback, that was a problem because you just chucked the ball up and, Bradley Fletcher, Kerry Williams, they couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, well, let's not forget about Nate Red Lobster Allen.
Oh,
He was back there too, and Nate Allen was caught with his pants down in that Cardinals game.
oh man. Oh, Nate Allen, dude. Oh God, yeah. So it's a good thing that we have revamped the secondary. It may take a couple years, with drafted 3 cornerbacks. Obviously brought in Byron Maxwell. A lot of people, a lot of haters of the Eagles are saying that that he got way too much money, and you know what? They're kind of right. But what they don't understand is how much of a need he was. And sure, 6 years, $63 million. He's getting top 5 money, probably not even a top 10 corner. But I've made this point before. You have Odell Beckham, Des Bryant, Deshaun Jackson in your division. You had the worst secondary in football. You better go get a corner, and that's what the Eagles did.
Yeah, they did indeed with going out and getting Maxwell. And we're going to talk about these rankings here for the front 7. And the thing that's really something to look forward to here is for the future going forward with these rankings. The Eagles they have a green arrow going up because really their front 7 is relatively young. You have a few guys like D'Amico Ryans and Connor Barwin who are getting up there in age, but besides that, you look at a guy like Alonzo and Benny Logan and Thornton, Brandon Graham. These guys are all very young.
Yeah, yeah, definitely trending in the upward direction. As long as Kiko Alonso can bounce back from that injury, I mean, yeah, this is a front seven definitely to watch out for in years to come. So I guess we'll get into our rankings now. Um, I have Buffalo number one. Buffalo led the NFL in sacks last year. An amazing, amazing front seven. Now, I'm not sure what they're going to do because obviously Rex Ryan's coming in there. He normally plays 3-4, but when you look at their depth chart, they have a 4-3 alignment. So I'm a little bit confused as to what they're going to do. Maybe they're going to rotate between a 3-4 and a 4-3. But you look at if they do play 4-3, you look at that defensive line, unfair, absolutely unfair. Mario Williams, you have Kyle Williams, you have Marcel Darius. All three of those guys are just some of the elite players in the league. And then you have Jerry Hughes, who not too many people know about, but he is absolutely a stud as well, and people don't know how good he is. And, I was talking with a guy on Twitter yesterday, and when I said Buffalo, he kind of scoffed at me a little bit because he was saying, well, they have no linebackers. I think Nigel Bradham's pretty good. Preston Brown was a rookie last year, had a pretty good year. I think he's pretty good. So those guys are underrated. They're just in Buffalo, and that's why you don't know about them.
Yeah, definitely right there. I mean, when you talk about Mario Williams and Marcel Darius, I mean that's quite the combo that they have there in Buffalo, and not now with Rex Ryan coming in, he's all about the defense. So obviously they're going to take a step forward.
Yeah, yeah. All right. I guess I'll just go through the rest of my top five. I got Miami at number two. The signing of Sue during the offseason really set them over the top. So you got Sue on that D line. You got Olivier Vernon, who kind of like Jerry Hughes, very very underrated. You have Cameron Wake. I think people know about Cameron Wake, and Earl Mitchell's the other guy on that D line. And the linebackers, similar to kind of like Buffalo, they got underrated linebackers. Jelani Jenkins is good. Koa Misi is pretty good as well. So those are my top two. And I'm going to put Philly at number three. We talked about what Philly's front seven brings to the table, so I don't really have to get into that. At number four, who do I have at number? Oh, I have the Jets at number four. Really, really good front seven there. Muhammad Wilkerson, got to give him a shout out. Temple made. got to talk about him a little bit. But, a lot of good guys on the Jets. Quentin Coples. You still got David Harris. Damon Harrison, Sheldon Richardson, Demario Davis is underrated. So a lot of good players in that front seven. And number five, I really wanted to get them in there. The Rams of St. Louis. They didn't really have a great year last year per se. It took them like 10 weeks to get to 2 sacks. I know they only had like 1 sack their first 5 games of the season, but Aaron Donald is a stud. Robert Quinn is a stud. So you got those guys in the D line. Chris Long, battled injuries last year. Michael Brockers is underrated. And then you look at those linebackers. Alec Ogletree is pretty good. He was a rookie last year. James Laurinaitis is their middle linebacker, and Akeem Ayers. So a good front seven there in St. Louis. Maybe not top 5, maybe, but I'm kind of looking up. You referenced the green arrow there. Well, that's why I have them at number 5.
Yeah, no, those are definitely good picks, and I can agree with you on our top three. I think our top three are the same. At number 4, I went with the Texans, and at number 5, I went with the Chiefs. I mean, obviously, with the Texans, right away you think about J.J. Watt, and just unbelievable. Then they bring in a guy like Vince Wilfork, veteran guy there, huge guy. And also the big thing for the Texans is we can't forget about Clowney, but the guy Brian Cushing. Texans are really high on him, and coming off an injury, and they're really expecting big things from him this year. So I have them up there, and also I have KC here. You know, Andy Reid. You got the guys like Tamba Hali, Donateri Poe, DeVito, I mean Justin Houston. So I've got the Chiefs there too.
Yeah, yeah, they're obviously up there as well. And just to kind of rattle off a couple more names, I'll let you talk about the one team because I know you were talking about a pre-show, and I like them too. But just Seattle's kind of front seven gets overlooked a little bit because of their secondary, obviously, but they still got a lot of great players in that front seven. I mean, you look at their linebackers: Bobby Wagner, KJ Wright. I mean, those guys are studs. You got Cliff Averill, Bruce Irvin, Brandon Mebane on that defensive line. So the rating, well, not rating Super Bowl champs, but rating NFC champs, Super Bowl champs 2 years ago. They can stop the run as well. Let's see some other ones. I like let's see Carolina's obviously. You got Luke Kuechly starring there. Charles Johnson, Quan Short's really underrated. Thomas Davis is there as well. Let's see who else do we got. New England's isn't bad. You got Ninkovich, Chandler Jones, Jamie Collins, Gerard Mayo, Dante Hightower. So yeah, just rattling off a couple more. Arizona's. I'm curious to see how they're going to be this year without Todd Bowles running the defensive coordinator spot there. Detroit, we'll see how they bounce back too without Ndamukong Suh anymore. Led the NFL in defense last year. But they still got some players too. They brought in Haloti Nada, Jason Jones, Ziggy Ansah. Let's see who else they got. Stephen Tulloch's going to be coming back from that injury, and DeAndre Levy's a stud too. So yeah, just some other front sevens, in the NFL. They're pretty good.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up the Lions there. Obviously, they lost Sue, but they, I mean, bringing in Nada as not such a bad replacement there. So the Lions are there. Did we were we talk about the Vikings at all?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I see. I wanted you to talk about them because you were kind of high on them, and I like them a lot too. But I'll let you talk about them.
Yeah, really with the Vikings there. Obviously guys like, Linval Joseph and Sharif Floyd and Anthony Barr, but Chad Greenway. But the one guy that's going to be key is actually Kendricks' brother, Eric Kendricks, who they drafted this year. And I mean, if he's anything like Michael Kendricks, then he's going to turn out to be a pretty good player there for the Vikings. Eric Kendricks is actually a guy that before the draft started, he was the guy that I wanted the Eagles to look at. But obviously, the Eagles weren't able to get him. They actually did draft a linebacker with Hicks there. But yeah, I think that Eric Kendricks is going to turn out to be a pretty decent player.
Mm. Yeah, out of that front seven, man, I love Anthony Barr a lot. I remember this play last year, against Tampa Bay in overtime. There was a pass out in the right flat, and I believe it was Bobby Rainey, might have been Doug Martin. He, passing the right flat, reads it correctly, straight to the ball carrier, rips the ball out in midair, returns it for a touchdown, game over in overtime, just like that. So, I mean, this guy's a stud. The other guy on that, Sharif Floyd, I like him a lot too. It took him a couple years to, really grasp things, but he's a stud as well. So, yeah, I like Minnesota. Another one of those green arrows pointed up in the right direction.
Yeah, that's exactly like, and like you're saying, talking about Barr. I mean, it's another young guy that they have there, so they can pair him with Eric Kendricks. Then they'll be good for a while there.
Yeah, so we both have the Eagles at number 3. I don't know how you guys, watching this video, if you want to comment, give your top 5, whatever. Maybe we're biased because we do have them number 3. I don't know, but I don't think we're as biased as some Eagles fans because some guys on Twitter actually think they have the best front seven. I'm not going that far, but they're definitely up there.
Yeah, no, they are, and when you think about a front seven, you think about really a dominant player along that front seven. And when you talk about these teams like the Dolphins who are able to acquire a guy like Sue, and then you look at the Bills, I mean, really two guys there with Darius and Mary Williams, and now the Eagles. they got a guy like Fletcher Cox who has really vaulted into that, top tier level player along the line.
Yeah, and not only are you looking at great players, you're also looking at front sevens that can bring pressure to the quarterback. Obviously, the Eagles were second in the NFL in sacks, and then also stopping the run. And the Eagles, while like I said earlier in the stat, I said they were 15th overall against stopping the run per game, but they were fifth in yards per carry. So really they're second in sacks and fifth against the run. So that's pretty good, obviously. And the other thing too, DeMarco Murray ran for over 100 yards in, I believe, every game but 4 last season. 2 of them that he didn't do it came against the Eagles.
Yeah, and now DeMarco Murray has traded sides, and he
Yeah.
will not have to worry about that.
Nope. So now he'll just run for over 100 yards against 14 of the 16, team bases this season.
That's right.
Oh yeah, baby, yeah. And I guess before we get to the final thoughts, there is something I wanted to bring up. Did you watch the World Cup game last night?
Yeah, I did watch it somewhat sparingly.
Do you know about Zach Ertz and Blondie?
Oh yeah, yeah. Earth was there supporting his, girl Johnston.
Yeah, well, she fucked up last night, and committed a penalty in the box, and you know, but obviously the U.S. team came through it and won 2-0. But it's interesting because you have Heather Mitz. Oh my God, she's smoking hot, by the way. Heather Mitz is with AJ Feely. You got Zach Ertz with Julie Johnstone. So which Eagle is going to be with Alex Morgan?
Oh, maybe Bradford.
Bradford. I'm thinking Tebow.
Do you?
Tebow. Tebow. And maybe Mark Sanchez. See, Marky Mark has a way about him. He's a really good cuddler.
Well, that's if she likes that.
Yeah, she might be a freak for all we know. Who the hell knows?
Sanchez could be out then.
Dude, I will say this though. I'm gonna get hate for this, but I don't think Alex Morgan is the hottest thing ever.
Yeah.
I am not as big of a fan of her as a lot of other people are. I'm not really into the pancake butt. It's really flat. I'm not really. I want something to grab, to grasp, and there's really not much there. So I am taking Heather Mitz all day over Alex Morgan.
There you go, making your proclamation.
But seriously, like, slap it a little bit, and there's nothing to slap.
Oh boy. Well, hopefully Alex Morgan doesn't follow the show. Otherwise, I think you ruined your chances.
Oh, I'm just playing hard to get.
Oh boy. Yeah, but Sunday night will be the big game for the U.S.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I've worked till 8 o'clock, so I believe the game's at 7, and I only have work till 8, so I don't know how I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna have to DVR it and wait till I get home.
Yeah, it appears that way, or you're just gonna have to watch the first half and then
Yeah,
watch
yeah,
it.
that's what I'm saying. Watch the first half, DVR it.
Yeah,
But problem is I'm gonna have people that are gonna be watching it, and I want to know the score.
yeah. Oh, well, we'll see what happens with that one.
Yeah, but looking forward to it. But I'm saying, man, like Heather Mitz, there was a point yesterday in the pre-show. They have this like big screen where they showed like the tactical changes that the U.S. were making, and she was wearing this very, very, very revealing skirt, and they had a wide shot, and whenever she had to like go up to the screen and like move things around, she had to bend over a little bit. So so I'm about to show my freaky side a little bit, I guess. Maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but yeah, you could really, her legs were just really really nice looking, and 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 unfortunately, once Fox, saw that the skirt was creeping up a little bit, they went and did a close up. So unfortunately, for all of us who are pigs, weren't liking that too much.
Oh boy, yeah, we better stop this before you pull a Nate Allen.
Yeah, and yeah, we will stop it right now, actually. So it's final thoughts time. I'm getting too excited. I gotta stop.
Final thoughts. Really, today I'm gonna put on my sunscreen and I'm gonna head over to the pool and maybe drink a few smoothies and just enjoy myself.
So that's it. That's it. Final thoughts.
That's
All
it.
right. All right. Well, we are gonna have a chance to spend a lot of time by the pool shortly.
Yeah, we will be. Unfortunately, our company was bought out by Stats, which is based in Chicago, and they've interviewed some people for the job, but they have so far they've only taken one person to my knowledge with them. So we'll see what happens with the future here.
Yeah, and I might be one of them. They only got one, but I might be number two.
Can only hope.
Yeah. Basically, what I think is going to happen is, well, not that anyone cares, but um, I interviewed with them like a couple weeks ago, and I think what's going to happen, their like editorial department's pretty full, but I do think the interviewee liked me a lot, and you know, basically, I think I'm going to get a job in like 6 months. Basically, once there's an opening, I think that's what's going to happen, and I'm definitely going to take it because writing for stats is a pretty big deal. So, basically, what I'd be doing, my previews would be up. I'd be writing previews. They're on ESPN.com. So, hopefully, I can get this gig, and that'd be pretty great. I used a good old Nelson Aguilar line. Maintaining is a form of regression. And once I used that, I had the interviewee hooked. And, and to tell another story about this guy, I guess I'm the one giving final thoughts today
Yes.
because I'm just on a rampage right now. So Brian Orifice is a guy from Stats who interviewed me, and he used to play football at Columbia. Columbia is where Chip Kelly started coaching. And Chip Kelly was not an offensive coach at the time. He was a linebackers coach. So there's my final thoughts of the day. I'm the one who was on the soapbox, and I'm giving my final thoughts. So, pretty interesting story there. And that's the other thing, actually, that he watched our videos, Mike, and he liked us a lot. He liked our videos. So, if you weren't with your girl here, you probably you could come with me.
Yeah, bolt with you there to Chicago. But yeah, maybe you never know. In a few months, they could have a position open, and you'll be ready to go.
Yeah. That's basically what he said. He said he's going to get back to me in July. Obviously, it's July right now. But yeah, he said he's going to get back to me in July. He said he couldn't promise me anything in the editorial department, but there could be an opening elsewhere. So that's basically where I'm at right now. And it was perfect timing too, because like I was in the midst of covering the NBA Finals, and I'm just like, yeah, dude, I'm covering the NBA Finals, so obviously that's showing him I'm a pretty big deal, and I really think he liked me, so we'll see what happens. Unfortunately, I didn't interview with him the first time around because I was initially not going to go to Chicago because he was there in May or whatever, and I didn't want to interview, so I didn't do it. and but I had a change of heart, and now I want to move to Chicago. So, yeah, so that's that. All right, I've been talking way too much about my personal life.
Now everyone is well informed.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone gives a shit. They just want our Eagles stuff. They don't care about me.
That's right. They probably paused, exit out of the video a while ago.
Yeah, they probably exited once I started talking bad mouthing Alex Morgan.
Yeah, that was probably the turnoff point.
Yeah. All right, well, now we're gonna turn off because we're done. We're done for the day. We gave our front seven, rankings. We fit in the Eagles. We talked about why they're overlooked. So we got everything in that we wanted to today. We gave our final thoughts. So it's that time. We're out. And I guess I'll give you one more final thought since I've been just talking my ass off last couple minutes.
Fletcher Cox. That's the name.
Fletcher Cox, baby. I love Cox, no homo.
Till next time.
Until next time, I'm Adrian Fedke. That's Mike Owens. We're out. Later. Go Birds, baby.
That's it.
Later.